You know those people who seem like reality just bends for them? It's not luck. It's not even talent. Most of them, they're tapped into something different, like a completely different frequency, a different dimension, actually. And I know that sounds a bit out there, but stay with me. It's not because they're privileged or because they know someone. It's because they're tuned into a level of energy that most people never access. Not because it's hidden, but because you have to feel your way into it. And here's what most people don't realize. If life feels heavy right now, if it feels like you're always pushing, always waiting, it's probably not because you're doing something wrong. It's just that you're tuned into a version of reality that's not really yours anymore. And in this video, I'm going to walk with you through what it actually takes to shift dimensions, not in some complicated abstract way, but in a real grounded frequency level shift. One that lets you stop chasing outcomes and start living from a place that naturally attracts what you've been trying so hard to create. Let's get something straight. You're not stuck because you're lazy. You're not unworthy. You're not doing it wrong. You're just broadcasting a frequency that's in conflict with what you say you want. And that conflict, that's what creates resistance. That's what creates loops. That's what makes manifestation feel like a myth. Not because it doesn't work, but because you're sending out mixed signals to a field that only speaks vibration. Think of your life like a radio. You don't hear jazz on a rock station. You don't hear clarity on the frequency of chaos. If you're tuned into fear, you'll pick up more reasons to be afraid. If you're tuned into scarcity, you'll notice bills, not opportunities. And the wild part, you don't even have to believe in this for it to be true. The field doesn't care about your beliefs. It cares about your broadcast. You can't fake your way through this. You either are the frequency or you aren't. And I know how frustrating that sounds because we've been conditioned to think positive and just work harder. But that's like screaming affirmations into a broken mic. The energy underneath still says, I'm afraid, I'm not ready, I don't trust it'll happen. And that's the part the universe responds to. But here's where it gets exciting. Because just like a radio, you can change the station. You can shift dimensions. Not someday. Not after 10 more books or 2 more vision boards. Right now, all it takes is awareness and alignment. That ache you've been feeling, that sense that something's off, like your soul knows something your mind can't explain. That's not failure. That's friction. That's your signal telling you that you're out of tune with the life that's already waiting for you. A more peaceful you, a more magnetic you, a you who doesn't have to chase. Because reality bends toward their frequency, like a tuning fork pulling matter into shape. Let me make something clear. Reality isn't linear. You're not becoming successful. You're not becoming loved. You're not becoming abundant. You're tuning into the version of you who already is. That version exists. It's not a fantasy. It's a station. And when your energy matches theirs, timelines collapse. Opportunities that seemed far off show up fast. Things that felt blocked suddenly move. Not because you did more, but because you finally stopped vibrating as the version of you who was stuck. That's the secret no one talks about. It's not about controlling your thoughts 24/7. It's not about proving yourself worthy to some cosmic judge. It's about remembering that reality is elastic and your frequency is the force that stretches it. Most people are living by reaction. They see their life and based on what shows up, they decide how to feel. Good day, good mood, bad day, anxiety. But creators, the energetic elite, they do the opposite. They generate the feeling first. They broadcast coherence first. And because they are the signal, the field adjusts. It's not magic, it's math. Coherence creates order. Entropy creates chaos. When your field is disordered, the world reflects that. But when your field is centered, emotionally clean and resonating from wholeness, things flow, not because you earned it, but because you're no longer resisting it. So, if you're feeling off lately, like life isn't quite landing, that's not a punishment, that's guidance. The field is trying to nudge you, trying to say this frequency doesn't match who you really are anymore. And you can either ignore that or you can shift. The real question is, are you ready to stop being the echo of your past and start broadcasting the signal of your future? Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how the 1%, not just in wealth, but in frequency, live from a completely different dimension. And once you feel the code they've been living by, you'll never want to go back to the old station again. Have you ever noticed that the people who seem to get everything, the aligned career, the love, the financial breakthroughs, they're not usually the ones running in circles, burning out, hustling from lack. No, they move differently. They carry themselves differently. And if you look close enough, you'll see the truth. They're not chasing anything. They're creating it. Let that land for a second. The 1% don't chase. They emit. They're not constantly trying to make life happen. They're simply vibrating at the frequency where life starts happening through them. This isn't just mindset coaching. This is quantum mechanics. In the quantum field, everything is energy, and energy responds to coherence, not desperation. So, when you're begging the universe to show you a sign or prove that you're on the right track, or finally give you that breakthrough, what you're really broadcasting is, I don't believe I have it yet. And the field listens. It always listens. But it doesn't listen to what you say. It listens to what you are. Here's where things get even more interesting. The people who are tapped into that top 1% frequency, they've cracked a paradox. Most of the world gets stuck in the paradox of pursuit. The more you chase something, the more you reinforce the belief that it's separate from you. And in a quantum universe where everything is connected through vibration, believing in separation is the one thing that guarantees disconnection. They've stopped chasing because they know that chasing is a declaration of lack. They don't hope the future finds them. They align with the version of themselves where the future is already here. You probably heard phrases like act as if or embody the energy. But the 1% don't fake it. They feel it. They become it. Not just when they're journaling or meditating, but all day long. Their energy is consistent. Not perfect, but intentional. And that consistency collapses probability into form. Because here's how quantum creation actually works. You broadcast a signal, the field responds, and reality reshapes itself around your vibration. It doesn't happen because you're special. It happens because you're finally aligned. Now, let's talk about why this seems so hard to do. It's not because it's complicated. It's because you've been trained your whole life to believe that power comes from control, from striving, from doing more. But in the quantum field, that energy doesn't translate. The more you try, the more you announce to the universe, I don't believe I already am. And that creates energetic static. That's why you can be doing all the right things, the vision boards, the affirmations, the late nights, and still feel like nothing's moving. Because what you're doing doesn't matter if who you're being is out of alignment. This is the hidden code of the energetically elite. They don't ask for alignment. They assume it, and that assumption changes the field instantly. I want you to picture something. Imagine two people walking into the same room. One walks in with nervous energy, scanning the room, try to read everyone, hoping to be liked. The other walks in as if the room already belongs to them, not arrogantly, but with quiet certainty. No begging, no overcompensating, just presence. Now ask yourself, who's more magnetic? Who's more trusted? Who gets chosen without trying? That's frequency. That's creation. And you can't fake that. You either have it or you're trying to find outside of yourself. But here's the good news. The version of you that has it already exists, not as a fantasy, as a frequency. And when you start aligning your daily emotional tone, your self-perception, and your inner state with that version, something wild happens. Reality starts recalibrating. Opportunities show up that were always there, but filtered out by your old signal. Conversations shift. People treat you differently. The delays clear up, not because life changed, but because your mission changed. And everything in the quantum field responds to what you emit, not what you hope for. That's the top 1% frequency. Not hustle, not noise, not external performance. It's quiet alignment. It's sovereign vibration. It's magnetic stillness. And once you lock into it, the game changes because you realize you never had to chase anything. You were just trained to. You see, when you stop trying to be chosen and start choosing yourself energetically, life mirrors that back. Not immediately, not like a vending machine, but with precision, because the field always delivers what you are, not what you wish for. And the ones who get this, They don't need to convince others. They don't need to post about it. Their reality speaks louder than words. And that's exactly where you're headed. Because in the next few minutes, you're going to discover the most powerful portal into that dimension. And it's not some esoteric technique or complicated meditation. It's a feeling, a frequency, one you've known your whole life, but maybe forgot how to live in. Let's go there. Now, if there's one frequency that unlocks everything, it's this one. Not action, not discipline, not even focus. It's love. But not the fluffy romantic kind we see in movies. Not something we give only when life is perfect or someone deserves it. I'm talking about energetic love, the most powerful vibrational state a human can embody. And when you learn how to live from that frequency, you stop asking for miracles because you become the portal through which they arrive. Let me explain something most people never hear. Your heart emits an electromagnetic field that is 5,000 times stronger than your brain. That's not just poetic, that's physics. The Heart Math Institute has studied this for decades. When your heart is in a state of coherence, and meaning your emotional state is calm, elevated and aligned, your energy field becomes ordered. It sends out a signal to the quantum field that says this being is ready, and the field responds. Now compare that to when you're in fear, when you're anxious, when you're trying to manifest, but secretly don't believe it's possible. Your field becomes chaotic. Your energy is dissonant. And no matter how many times you visualize or script or repeat your affirmations, you're still broadcasting static. And the universe only echoes what it hears. This is why love is everything. Not because it's spiritual, but because it's coherent. And coherence creates clarity. Coherence creates magnetism. Coherence says, I already am what I've been asking for. Think about it like this. If your reality is a mirror, then love is a light that lets you see yourself clearly. And once you see yourself clearly, you stop needing the world to validate your worth. You stop outsourcing your alignment. You stop trying to chase outcomes for safety. Because love is safety. Love is alignment. Love is the signal that collapses resistance into flow. But here's the part that most people miss. Love isn't a reward. It's not something you feel only after things get better. Love is the frequency that makes things better. And you don't wait for it. You generate it. You decide it. That's right. Love isn't just an emotion. It's a choice, a state, a signal. And like tuning a radio, you don't need to wait for someone else to give you the song. You pick the station. You align your thoughts, breath, body, and feeling toward love. And you hold it even when nothing outside of you gives you a reason to. Especially then because in that moment you become the one thing the quantum field cannot ignore, a coherent emitter. People will feel it. They won't know why, but they'll be drawn to you. Opportunities will align. Resources will rearrange. And all without you needing to force, hustle, or chase. That's what the 1% understand. That's the gateway they walk through. They didn't wait until life was perfect to embody the frequency. They realized that embodying the frequency is what makes life start reflecting perfection already within. Let me ask you something. How would your life look different if you loved without needing a reason? If you walked into your day already broadcasting, I am safe, I am whole, I am connected, not pretending, not bypassing, but remembering who you are underneath the fear. Because the truth is that's who you've always been. The frequency of love is not foreign to you. You felt it before in moments of peace in nature, in a child's laugh, in silence when everything made sense for no reason. Those moments were glimpses of your true state, not exceptions, reminders. And the more you choose to return to that state, not just when things go right, but especially when they don't, the more you collapse the old frequency that says you're behind, you're broken, or you're not enough. Because here's the shift. You don't manifest from love. Love is the manifestation. Everything else, the money, the love, the clarity, the health, it flows to match your field, not the other way around. So, if you've been trying everything and still feel stuck, maybe it's not your strategy. Maybe it's your signal. And maybe the answer isn't more effort, but more coherence. And coherence starts when you choose love. Not the conditional kind, not the performative kind, but the kind that says, I am aligned with life itself. And life responds to who I am, not what I force. In the next few minutes, we're going deeper. We're going to reveal the invisible system inside your brain that either opens a portal to this new dimension or keeps filtering it out completely. And chances are it's been running your entire reality without you even realizing it. But once you see how it works and how to reprogram it, you'll understand why love, clarity, and abundance were always possible. They just needed your focus to be in the right place. Let's shift that focus and your frequency. At Next, let's talk about something almost no one teaches when it comes to manifestation. Your brain has a built-in system that decides without asking you what's real and what's invisible. And here's the twist. It doesn't decide based on truth. It decides based on repetition, based on emotion, based on what you've trained it to filter for. This system is called the RA, the reticular activating system. And if you don't understand how it works, you could be doing all the right energetic practices, but still be stuck in the same reality loop over and over again. So what exactly is the RS? It's the gatekeeper of your perception. It's the part of your brain stem that scans every bit of information flooding your senses. And it chooses in milliseconds what you'll consciously perceive and what you'll filter out. It's why you can buy a new car and suddenly see that car everywhere. It's why you can feel insecure one day and suddenly think everyone is judging you. The truth is nothing changed. Your RA just got new instructions. And the instructions it listens to the most, your focus, your language, your emotion. Let that sink in. What you consistently focus on becomes what your brain believes is important. And once it believes something is important, it starts pulling evidence from your environment to prove it true. This is huge because if you've been unconsciously focusing on fear, lack, betrayal, or failure, guess what your RA is doing? It's feeding you more of that. Not because the world is against you, but because your internal broadcast is literally programming your perception of reality. That's why two people can live in the same city, same economy, same external circumstances, but one sees opportunity and the other sees hopelessness. Same world, different filters. So here's the hard truth. If you're waiting for reality to change before you change your focus, you'll wait forever, because the shift doesn't start out there. It starts with what you tell your brain to look for. And this is where quantum meets neuroscience. Because your RA isn't just scanning your environment, it's collapsing your timeline. Every moment, it's filtering an infinite field of possibilities and locking in the one that matches your dominant frequency of attention. This is why love is so powerful. Not because it makes you feel good for 5 minutes, but because it reorients your focus. It says, look here, there is beauty, there is safety, there is coherence. And when your RA gets that message often enough, it shifts the entire structure of your life. Not slowly, not eventually, exponentially. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, how do I reprogram this? Start simple. Ask yourself, what am I rehearsing every day without even knowing it? Is it doubt? Is it old stories? Is it a belief that you have to work 10 times harder just to be seen? Or are you rehearsing trust? Are you rehearsing clarity? Are you rehearsing the feeling of already having shifted into a version of you that doesn't need to force because their field already matches their future? Because the more you focus on a new signal, the more the RA adapts. The more you practice noticing alignment, the more your brain shows you aligned paths. Not because life changed, but because you finally gave your perception new orders. Let me give you something powerful to practice. Every morning before your feet hit the ground, speak directly to your brain. Today, I train my focus to notice what's already working. I give my permission to show me the path of least resistance. I am aligned with a version of me who already lives the life I desire, and my perception now adjusts to match that frequency. Say it, feel it, repeat it, because repetition is how your brain learns. Emotion is how it prioritizes, and focus is how it turns possibilities into reality. And if you're wondering whether this really works, look around. You're already living a reality built by the focus you had yesterday. So why not direct that focus consciously today? Let your RA be the servant of your soul, not the puppet of your past. And if this message is resonating, it's because a deeper part of you already knows this. You're not here by accident. This isn't just another video. This is your realignment. This is your return. So anchor it in, comment below. I align my focus. Because when you write something, when you claim it publicly, even digitally, you're declaring it to your brain, to your field, and to the collective quantum mirror we all live inside. And this one act of aligned focus, it just might be the ripple that shifts your entire trajectory. Now, we're about to enter one of the most powerful teachings in quantum reality, the secret that identity is frequency, not just a concept, a literal energetic equation. And once you understand how to become the version of you who already lives in the desired timeline, you'll never be able to live small again. Let's go there. It's where your future is already waiting. You're not trying to get to your next level. You're meant to become it. Let that really land. Because as long as your identity is tied to your current circumstances, your frequency stays locked in a dimension that's already expired. It doesn't matter how many affirmations you say or how many visualizations you do. If your identity says, "I'm not there yet," your frequency agrees. And if your frequency agrees, the quantum field listens. In quantum terms, identity isn't just a concept. It's a vibration, a signature, a code. And every identity broadcasts a unique frequency that either aligns with the timeline you desire or repels it. Here's what most people get wrong. They try to do different things to get a different life without changing who they are inside that life. They set goals from the same version of themselves who created the current results. But quantum reality doesn't respond to effort. It responds to coherence. And coherence only happens when your inner world matches the vibration of the reality you're asking for. So ask yourself, who is the version of you who already lives the life you're dreaming of? How do they think? How do they speak? How do they carry themselves when no one is watching? What do they allow? And what do they no longer tolerate? Now be honest. How different is that from the way you're showing up right now? Here's the quantum truth most people aren't ready to hear. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And what you are is the frequency encoded in your identity. Your beliefs, your posture, your expectations, your emotional baseline. Think of your identity as your internal thermostat. Even if you manage to temporarily create more success, more love, more abundance, if your internal setting is still tuned and not enough, the frequency pulls you right back down. That's why self-sabotage is so common. It's not because you're broken. It's because your frequency is just being faithful to the identity you haven't upgraded yet. Now, the good news, and it's massive, identity can shift in an instant. It doesn't need 10 years of therapy. It doesn't require permission. What it does require is a conscious decision to stop rehearsing the version of you who's stuck, because you've been rehearsing it. Let's be honest, you've been repeating the same story. I'm not ready. I don't know how it's not working yet. And every time you say it, think it, feel it, you reinforce the code, you emit the frequency, you lock in a dimension. But just like a radio dial, identity can be tuned. Not by faking it, but by feeling into the version of you who already lives it. By listening to the inner whisper that says, you were never meant to shrink to fit this life. You came to expand into the one that's already waiting. What does that expansion feel like? It feels like truth. It feels like alignment. It feels like that quiet moment where you stop trying and just allow yourself to become. Becoming isn't loud. It's not something you post about. It's a silent contract you make with your soul to stop betraying the future you. And when you do that, everything starts to bend. The emails arrive. The opportunities unfold. The clarity rushes in because the field is responding to a new code, not your old requests. Let me give you an example. You're walking through your day. Nothing big happens, but something inside shifts. You start saying no to things that don't match your energy anymore. You slow down. You breathe deeper. You treat yourself like someone you actually respect. You stop hustling for validation, and you start inhabiting your worth. And then out of nowhere, something clicks. A message, a call, an idea. And you realize it wasn't out of nowhere. It was always waiting. But you had to shift you first. That's what this chapter is about. It's not about motivation. It's about calibration. Tuning yourself to the version of you that already succeeded because they already exist and they're not in the future. They're in a dimension that's available the moment you stop resisting your own expansion. So stop trying to get there. Start becoming here. In the final part of this journey, we're going to give you something practical, not just conceptual, a daily ritual, a 21-day shift that breaks a loop of low frequency and reconditions your field to live in love, clarity, and alignment. Because once your frequency is consistent, your reality can't help but rearrange. Are you ready to step into that? Let's go. So now you know. You've seen how frequency shapes dimension, how identity is the access key, and how love, not effort, is what opens a quantum gateway. But the real shift, it begins with what you do in the next 24 hours. Because this moment right now is the most powerful moment you'll ever have. The now is the only place where reality bends. And when you learn to master your now, you break free from the matrix that's been looping you in fear, lack, and survival. That matrix isn't some dark external system. It's an energetic prison created by unconscious repetition, thought patterns, emotional loops, nervous system habits. But here's the miracle. The moment you become aware of the loop, you are no longer just living in it. You are observing it. And the observer has the power to collapse the loop and initiate a new path. This is where the 21-day ritual comes in. It's not about discipline. It's about devotion to the version of you who already knows what life looks like when you stop shrinking and start radiating. Here's the invitation. For the next 21 days, you'll choose to embody the frequency of love. Not because it's easy, but because it's home. Every morning before the world gets loud, you'll sit with yourself. No distractions, just breath and presence. You'll ask one question. What would the version of me who's already free feel like? Right now, and then feel it. Breathe it in. Let it move through your body. Next, you'll take one conscious action, tiny but aligned, not to prove something, not to fix yourself, but to affirm that you are no longer living from the old identity. You're broadcasting a new code, and every step you take from that code becomes a signal to the field. I'm ready. Some days it'll feel electric. Others you'll meet resistance. But that resistance, it's not failure. It's feedback. It's your old frequency dissolving. Keep going. Because here's what most people miss. Reality doesn't shift because of one big leap. It shifts because of repeated alignment with a new frequency. Until that frequency becomes the most familiar thing in the world. And after 21 days of choosing differently, feeling differently, moving differently, the field will begin to respond. Not because you forced it, because you became it. So here's your roadmap from day 1 into day 7. Awareness. Track your autopilot. Journal the subtle shifts. Catch the old thoughts as they rise and gently choose again. Now from day 8 into day 14, stabilization. Anchor into coherence. Regulate your nervous system. Meditate with your hand on your heart. Let love lead. And now from day 15 into day 21, embodiment. Let the new identity guide your choices. Speak from that place. Walk from that place. Receive from that place. And if you truly commit, even imperfectly, you won't just feel different. Your life will look different. New people, new insights, new outcomes. Not because you manifested them, but because your field became a match for them. Not because you need it, but because your higher self is ready to use it. You were never broken. You were always powerful. And now you remember,